So when you decided to implement the no contact rule with a Fearful-Avoidant X, you are stepping into a very complex and emotionally charged process. But this method is, to be honest, about much more than just cutting communication, as many people say in the aftermath of a breakup. The no contact rule is not just a technique to get your ex back. It has a lot to do with self-discovery, with healing, and potentially laying the groundwork for a much healthier relationship dynamic with your ex that could sprout in the future. So let's dive into how to navigate this challenging yet potentially rewarding path. So the first thing to understand is the Fearful-Avoidant attachment style. Now, these individuals are often caught up in a toxic push and pull dynamic. On the one end, they crave closeness, yet on the other end, they fear intimacy. And as a result, their behavior can be really confusing and painful, not just for them, but obviously for you as well. The second thing to grasp is what no contact really means. So for those unfamiliar with the concept, it's exactly what the name suggests. Cutting all contact with your ex after a breakup, or at least limiting it significantly. Now, no contact is often misunderstood as this manipulation technique to get your ex back, but in reality, it has very little to do with your ex and much more to do with you and your growth and your recovery. No contact is a process, in fact, of inward growth rather than this outward expression of disinterest. It allows you to step away from the post-breakup push-pull dynamics and all the drama. It allows you to unwind, to release some of your anxiety, and remove yourself from any potential mind games that could happen post-breakup. And it also gives you time to think and create a sense of absence, which can make your ex feel your absence, well, just more deeply, increasing your value in their eyes. Basically, the more space you give them, the more attractive, usually, they will perceive you as. So in simple terms, reducing your presence can lead to an increased demand, similar to basic economics and psychology. So when you constantly reach out to your ex, you often come across as needy. And this makes a fearful avoidant specifically even more cautious and more likely to run farther away, making reconciliation pretty damn difficult. So let's talk about the initial impact of no contact on a fearful avoidant and what to expect. So the first few weeks of no contact can be particularly challenging. And this is the case, in fact, for everyone when it comes to exes, not just fearful avoidance, even secure people, but it is a very pronounced tendencies when it comes to fearful avoidance. So basically, the silence can feel deafening, and the urge to reach out, it can be overwhelming for you. However, this period is also crucial, a crucial emotional detox for kind of both of you, so you and your ex. And it's also when the most intense withdrawal symptoms appear. But at the same time, well, this is a time where you begin to regain some emotional independence due to the physical and emotional distance between you and your ex. So you're not, after a certain period of no contact, you're not so dependent on how your ex feels about you or how they perceive you or what they do in relation to mending your relationship. You also tend to seek less validation from them once you actually cut them out of your life or reduce contact significantly for a certain period. So overall, just be prepared for an emotional roller coaster at first. It's like pulling off a band-aid. It hurts a lot first because you pull it off forcefully, but then it gets just way easier. The pain gets way easier to manage. And also another thing, you should be prepared for your ex to potentially reach out, as fearful avoidance often tends to oscillate between wanting closeness and then retreating into fear. And if your ex does reach out, and if you want them back, here's what to do. Engage in a short conversation, maybe 3 to 5 text messages back and forth, or like a 5-minute phone call if you're on a call. And during this interaction, preferably early on, simply invite your ex out. Go and invite them out on a date specifically. Like say something, for example, it was nice hearing from you, but I've got to run. Tell you what, why don't we meet up? I'd love to see you again. What time are you free next week. Just something like that, and keep it simple. And once you invite your ex out, you'll get one of 3 responses. Response 1, they agree on a date, and if that happens, just agree on a time and location that works for both of you and make it official. The second response is they reject you, and the third one is that they give you some wishy-washy answer. For example, they say something like, I have to check my schedule, or I'll call you back, or I might be late. Treat all of these sorts of responses to your date invite as a rejection. So what do when you get rejected? You go back into no contact. Don't communicate with your ex now until they reach out again, at which point you can give the date invite another shot. But if they reject you or give some wishy-washy answer, which, as we said, is also kind of like a rejection, yet again, at that point, I would only bring up going on a date when they reach out first and when they bring up the topic of going on a date themselves. That's the only time after 2 consecutive, or maybe 3 if you're more lenient, consecutive rejections that I would think about inviting them yet again on a date. And that's pretty much all you need to know about doing no contact with a fearful avoidant. There are some specific reactions you should expect, but your goal should always be the same, regardless of the attachment style your ex has, and that is to invite them on a date, to get them on a date, and from there, you can actually start the reattraction process. Now, if you want to go deeper into not only how to set a date, but how to execute it and how to actually increase your ex's attraction once you're there physically, how to connect with them, how to get through their emotional barriers and all that good stuff, you should download my free reattraction cheat sheet. The link to it is in the description below this video. Just click it. It's a simple 1-page document with all the tips and advice laid out for you. So grab that free resource. And that's pretty much all from my side, so take care.